Gotta be honest, I thought I'd get to Black Sabbath at some point. I didn't think it was going to be this epic, and I never expected a Black Sabbath week. But we're here. Part of that is thanks to Darren Wright. Hopefully Darren is watching this video, as he's been instrumental, no pun intended, in Black Sabbath week. So massive thanks to Darren for making a couple of very, very generous donations to the channel via PayPal, and ensuring this has happened. And I had some really good chats with him, or with you, Darren, if you are watching, and I really appreciate it. All your, you've become curator of the Sabbath stuff. Now, sort of before I get into Billboard or Sabbath in terms of style and technique or anything like that, I thought it might be quite good. Sorry, I'm typing. I know that's annoying sometimes. Just to bring up some info here. So, Black Sabbath formed in 1968. Now, the first album, I believe, was 1970. I'm just going to scroll down this page here. Yes. Black Sabbath self-titled album, 1970. So 2 years after they formed. Recorded 16th of October 1969. Recorded the album in 12 hours. 12 hours. So just to put this into perspective, if you're not familiar with how albums are normally recorded or normal time frames, 12 days would be a very, very quickly recorded album. This was 12 hours. 12 weeks would probably be more, I guess, typical. I'm not necessarily talking about the 60s. I'm talking more about, modern day. I don't know how. Probably recorded a lot more live back in the 60s. But yeah, I mean, for example, one of my favorite albums is Appetite for Destruction, and that was recorded over, I believe, 3 months. So 3 months, Black Sabbath first album, 12 hours. So they basically just went in, recorded, I believe they did a guitar overdub and vocal overdub, done. Amazing. That was the first thing that hit me as really, really interesting, and I really dig the vibe. We've lost that. We've lost that live aspect to recordings. Recordings now are perfect. Perfect is in the ear of the beholder. So I consider this perfect because it's a perfect, not the first album, I mean just what I've heard so far, because I haven't heard the first album. I consider this perfect in that it's perfect art. It's not perfect. Is all the singing in tune? No, probably not. Is all the music in tune? In tune or in time? No. I mean, it's human beings. People are fallible. This studio perfection is a relatively modern thing, and it wasn't around back then. Okay, the other thing I wanted to do, because we're talking about a band who formed in 1969 and who released their first album in 1970. So what was going on around that time? What caused, or what was the environment that allowed a band like this, with these kind of dark themes, dark tones, the lyrical content, the heavy music, what was happening in society that meant that this had an audience? Because it's very different listening to this now, and I accept this. I missed the boat originally. So listening with 2022 ears is a lot different to hearing this in 1969, 1970, early 70s. totally different. We take for granted now certain disillusionment, certain cynicism of the status quo, of government, of the music industry, of life, of society. In general, I think we're more cynical. And if we jump back to the 60s, I feel like this was, I've got nothing to back this up, but I feel like it was the start of that real mainstream counterculture type attitude where it was like, you know, I don't actually agree with what's going on here. You know, we've got this war raging in Vietnam, and you know, it used to be you're either a patriot or not, and it's sort of go team. And I'm not saying, it's not a statement on the war whether the war was right or wrong. It's just, all I'm saying is it became a bit more common to second guess what's happening, and if you don't agree with it, you might go and stomp your feet a bit and actually let everybody know that, hey, I don't agree with this. And yeah, this general disillusionment, and I mean, not to mention there was a lot of probably a lot of acid and stuff going on and at the time as well. I guess people looking for an escape, young people always looking for an escape, but you throw acid into the mix and it can really ignite that whole thing. So I will get to your comments, by the way. But I meant to do all this before. I had to take Connor to school, and I just ran out of time. So I think to fully appreciate what was going on around the time. So I just typed in here key events of the 60s. Michael, how are you, buddy? Now, 60s, it says here, the really short paragraph, dominated by the Vietnam War, civil rights protests. The 60s also saw the assassination of John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, and the Cuban Missile Crisis. The 60s were a volatile decade. Now, all decades are volatile, clearly. We're in a volatile decade now with worldwide pandemic and wars and all kinds of madness going on. But the 60s, I feel like it was almost like the facade came down a little bit in the 60s, and some people were pissed off. And this kind of music, I feel, is going to strike a chord with people. If you're a bit angry and you don't like the music that your parents listen to, and you want to go out and you want to party, and there's all sorts of craziness going on, I don't know, your brother's in Vietnam, I don't know, all kinds of things, this might appeal to you. I mean, we also had the moon landing. What was that? That was 69, I believe. Yeah, 1969. So right around this time. So I think throw into the mix and literally like an out of world experience where it's like, wow. I mean, this is mind blowing, right? There are things happening which we as humans never thought would possible. So you're getting this, I feel like there's just a huge escalation in technology, a huge change in the cultural zeitgeist. I've never used that word, zeitgeist. Give myself a pat on the back. Hopefully I used it in the right context. Changing scene, changing world. The other thing I'm curious about, without typing it in here myself, you know, what were the charts looking like in 1969, 1970? You know, what could we compare this to? Compared to what people would generally hear on their radio. Let's have a look. So what can I pop charts? 1969. Sugar, Sugar, the Archies. Sugar, Sugar, compared to Hand of Doom. Talking about heroin and whatnot. Sugar, Sugar. Aquarius, Let the Sunshine In. What? Then we've got number 3, I Can't Get Next to You by the Temptations. I don't know that song. Honky Tonk Woman by the Rolling Stones. Hot Fun in the Summertime. Hot Fun in the Summertime, guys. I'll Never Fall in Love Again by Tom Jones. Great song. I'm not saying any of these songs are not good. I'm comparing them to the Hand of Doom. War Pigs. It's pretty different. Marvin Gaye, Too Busy Thinking About My Baby. Grazing in the Grass, number 17. Number 18, Suspicious Minds. You know, we're still in this era, I guess we still are today. Love. Peace, love, and mung beans, baby. The hippie movement. I mean, I feel like there was the Manson murders as well. The Charles Manson, Sharon Tate murder, which I feel like it kind of bookmarked, it kind of closed a chapter on the golden era of Hollywood. Another key thing where people, you know, the whole hippie experience went awfully wrong. A lot of drugs involved again. And, you know, things got dark. Things were dark. You're in the middle of this never-ending war in Vietnam, which is not looking like it's going to end anytime soon. Can't get out of there. You know, this Hollywood fairy tale, Sharon Tate, Roman Polanski, elite world. You know, people have gone in there and literally killed that. And that led to a dark era in film in the 70s. I love 70s cinema. And, you know, you had films like Taxi Driver, The Exorcist. I mean, what are the other gritty 70s films? Apocalypse Now. You know, you're not making films like that pre-70s. Those were dark, like real films, you know. I love these films, but they're dark, right? It's a certain counterculture, kind of against the grain. I don't like the way things are going. A backlash perhaps against consumerism, materialism. A lot going on. So I'm going to get to your comments right now. I just wanted to lay out some sort of, I guess, at least a little bit of what is going on in the world around this time and how mind-blowing. This is mind-blowing to me with my 2022 ears. Listening to this in the late 60s, early 70s, come on. All right, Matigator. What is this that stands before me? Is that a Shakespeare line? No, what is this dagger I see before me, isn't it? Mean Metal Mike. Bill Ward's last recorded Sabbath album was Born Again. Okay, when was that? Artwork, release, no, let's go back. Hold on, what did you say it was, Mean Metal Mike? Born Again? Can't find it here. I'll keep going. Richard Plant, landmark album. Talking about the Black Sabbath self-titled? Yeah, I would say so. Mitigator. The first album is so different than anything else they did. I guess that really explains why I didn't know that. I like that album way more than most fans. Sean Harris, I was watching your YouTube video about talent, and is it a thing? If you use Bill Ward as an example, he obviously worked hard at his craft, but is the talent in his grooves, question mark, can be copied but not the same? Well, that's just, I mean, for me, that's just your individual fingerprint. You know, it's always different. It's not, I mean, if I do a Bill Ward, or if I do a Black Sabbath cover, I'm not trying to sound like Bill Ward, really. I'm just, I guess, doing my best. Trying to stay in time with the song. Acaphalic. I've listened to old school metal my whole life. Maiden, Venom, Bathory, etc. Don't know the last two groups. But somehow I slept on Sabbath for a long time, like me. There's just so much to their music. Their music sounds fresh to this day. I agree, and I think part of that is the authenticity. It's probably a word that I overuse on the channel, but there's just something real about it. It's undeniable. You can't fake being authentic. You can't fake being hard, being the real deal. Like, you either are or you're not, right? These guys partied hard too. You know, these were British lads, heavy drinkers, and heavy into other stuff. You know, walking the walk. I mean, rock stars, right? But rock stars, but I feel like very down to earth. Yeah. Mean Metal Mike. Sabbath originally was called Earth back in '68. Well, there you go. Nope, nope. I thought it might be cool for Andrew to react to the pre-Sabbath songs like The Rebel or Song for Jim. But they're not representative of Bill at his prime. Okay. And Michael, I got to your comment. Hey, buddy. Vista Giles. I love Taylor Hawkins' comment about Black Sabbath being Led Zeppelin's ugly cousin. Yeah. I don't know what it is. There was something about that footage that Darren Wright requested, that 1970 footage. It's kind of dirty. It's like flat white light on a band, amps, so simple, so impossibly basic. I mean, this is how, you know, we would rehearse when I was 15, 16 years old. It's how we'd play. Turn a light on in my friend's garage, you know, put the amps facing some way and just play. And that's what they're doing. No clicks, no stage show. They're not even worried about that. They're just keeping it real. I love it. Michael Belaski. I just got here, but I can't believe the first Sabbath album came out in '69. 2 years after Summer of Love, when everything was soft. Yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about, was just the environment at the time. How different this must have sounded. When was Woodstock? Woodstock was 68, right? So they just missed out on that by, I'm assuming they would have been there, maybe. Matigator. I remember on the first Sabbath, a lyric, they can put a man on the moon, but people here are still dying. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a depth, I mean, honestly, to the lyrics. I understand the lyrics, a lot of that is from Geezer Butler, perhaps? Or is it, you know, is Ozzy's chipping in with lyrics, I'm assuming? Chris Chapman. Remember they were in Birmingham, England, so check UK charts. Yeah, good point. Let's have a look at the UK charts 1970. So assuming that, you know, Sabbath were already out, and at least some people would have been going, what the hell is this? Top 10 UK singles 1970. Oh, it looks like this essentially the same list I had before. Hold on. Groups like Chicago, Deep Purple, Hot Chocolate, the Jackson 5, Neil Diamond. Yeah, very different to Black Sabbath, that's for sure. Good old rock and roll, Dave Clark 5. Friends by Arrival, Leaving on a Jet Plane. I Want You Back, Jackson 5. Instant Karma, John Lennon. Bridge Over Troubled Water, Simon and Garfunkel. Now, there were protest songs around this time. So it wasn't completely unique to go against the grain, obviously, and to say what you think about a certain topic. I think it's just the harsh brutality. Normally, in a protest song, it's done somewhat poetically, and they'll skirt around the topic or use metaphor to be able to make their point and still have a listenable song. This is just like, this is what we think. Not to mention the lefty old Tony. Oh, I got his name wrong too. Tony Iommi. Am I pronouncing the surname correctly? Iommi? Tony Iommi. I remember I said Tommy. I might have even said that a couple of times, so apologies, my mistake. Whew, you don't want to get a name wrong. Michael Belazki. Exactly, Hand of Doom during Sugar Sugar. Sugar Sugar, Hand of Doom! Yeah, it's quite the contrast. Oh, it looks like, no, this is not me. It looks like a couple of comments are getting hidden. There's nothing wrong with the comment. I think some of them have just got a little naughty word or two in them. Not in terms of abuse, but just like, you know, the like fist pump style, yeah, like that kind of comment. So if your comment has been hidden, that looks like it might be the reason. Interesting comment here from Mojo Bag 01. My favorite Bill quote. It's about listening to each other and not just plowing through. Listening. This is a real, it's not obviously just jazz, but this was hammered into us at jazz school. Listen, listen, listen to what's going on stage. I also read an interview with Bill. I'm pretty into this. I read an interview with Bill, and he said something along the lines of, I don't want to misquote him, but he said something along the lines of, you know, he just doesn't just play. He doesn't just lay down a beat, and that's the beat for the song. He's reacting to what's happening on the stage. Another thing I feel like we've lost in modern music where everything needs to be perfect. And if you're reacting in the moment, how can you make it perfect? You can't really. That's a jazz concept. So apologies if I constantly talk about jazz during this, but it's undeniable to me how jazzy this is. The rhythm section, even Tony on guitar, take away the distortion, some of these solos sound very jazzy. Let's have a look here at your comments. Richard Garnish, I love seeing the joy of somebody discovering a whole slice of music that passed them by before. That's what this is all about. That's what it's all about, man. It's awesome. That's one of the absolute blessings of this channel, is for me, is an excuse to listen to stuff that I wouldn't have listened to. I have heard people talk about Black Sabbath. I've got friends that got into Black Sabbath. I mentioned a friend who was at jazz school with me. He was in my year. He was a drummer in my year. Cole Goodley. I don't know if you're watching this, Cole. And we had an awesome chat over Messenger after I think I did the first Black Sabbath video. He was a big Black Sabbath guy. And I think big Led Zeppelin guy. And he would rave about Black Sabbath. But hey, it's a lot of music around. It's hard to get to everything. Finally here now. Cole would be proud. Listing off some movies around the time. Night of the Living Dead. Yeah. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. That's a really interesting one, Matigator. A black man lead. I don't know what kind of statement that alone. I don't know how common it was to have a black man as a lead hero in a film in 1968. So George Romero, I don't think it was by accident. So yeah, you've got this, I guess, people questioning the rules, right? Questioning the rules. Why not have a black male lead in a film? And he's the hero and he's protecting people. Interesting time period for sure. Who was Bill's influence and how did he get his style? I've read somewhere, I think one of you guys commented on one of the videos that he was a big Gene Krupa guy. There are a couple of things I notice over and over with his style on the songs that I have listened to now, and I've listened to 5 now because I've already recorded this week's content. A couple of go-to licks or drum chops. Patrick McNellis, thank you, love this shit. Single stroke 4, and if you're not familiar with a single stroke 4, it is literally 4 singles. Da 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 da. I can't believe I just almost stuffed that up. Ba 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 ba. You can get that rudiment quite fast because it's a short burst of notes. I always hear Bill, I think he's done it in every song. I think he's done it on every song I've seen. Dun, 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 dun. That triplet based single stroke 4 lick, constantly hearing that. Then he will tend to do like a flam thing, a linear flam thing between flam, kick, or fast though. It's hard to do flams on my body. And then he'll do a subdivision thing where he'll go into triplets or even 30-second note partials. Really cool. It's got great vocab and really good time and a great sound. Now, I kept bringing up, I think it annoyed some people, but I kept sort of bringing up Led Zeppelin, I guess as a comparison, time period, British thing. But I think one thing that, I wouldn't say it let them down, but I think one difference is that Bonham's sound, that there was a lot of care placed in the Bonham sound, and it was a real feature of Led Zeppelin, and probably a lot more spacious kind of grooves, like heavy, big echo, delay, reverb on the sound. Whereas this is a little bit different. It's a bit drier. It's a bit more. It's just a drum kit recorded. Again, not saying it's a bad sound, it's just different, and for some reason it hasn't been, I don't think it has been as iconic, has it? The actual sound of the drums. Okay, what do we got here? Colin Rennie. The whole 1970 Paris gig is absolutely amazing. You're damn right on that. We've got a name here that I can't read, which might be in Greek. The debut album, Bill's drum sound and the drum mix is bad. Oh, okay. Well, I haven't really listened to that first album yet, so I thought the songs that I'm doing, like Hand of Doom, and I've got a War Pigs cover coming soon. I at first thought or assumed, because it was off the 1970 Live, that they were off the debut album, but they weren't, were they? They were off the second album, Paranoid, I believe. Paranoid 1970 as well. Man, these guys, creative juices flowing. Yeah, neither of those songs are off the first album. So I listened to that when I did the covers. I was listening to the song and thinking, oh, this is first album sound. But yeah, I was wrong. So I need to go back and check out that first album and have a proper listen to it. Geezer, Mojo Bag 01. Geezer was the best red of them. Yeah, I don't want to underestimate people like Ozzy Osbourne, but he doesn't strike me as... Maybe he is a big reader, I don't know. He just doesn't strike me as one. Early hard rock metal is also special due to not yet existing within a defined genre. Even Sabbath themselves became more orthodox later on during the Dio years. Okay, I look forward to learning more about that. Okay, I'm going to try and rip through some of your comments here. I've lost my place. Mojo Bag 01, first album released Friday the 13th. Yeah, I mean, you know you're a badass band when you're saving up your album release for Friday the 13th. By the way, probably one of my favorite films, Friday the 13th, which is interesting because I've talked a lot on the channel about how I don't listen to heavy music, and even indicated that that might have been some of the reasons why I avoided some of the groups like Slipknot and that, because of the imagery. But at the same time, I love horror films. I love 80s slashers and, you know, so yeah. Look at all the Jazz Sabbath recordings on YouTube. Jazz Sabbath? There are entire high school class jazz piano albums that are done with class, love, and respect. That is amazing. And Ares, good morning, Australia. Greetings from Germany. Have to go to bed soon. Well, you know, with shouting out that I'm Australian or I'm in Australia, you might have to go to bed. I'm in New Zealand, man. We're not part of Australia. We're in the South Pacific. We're in the same part of the world. Maybe we sound Australian, you know, but we are different. What else we got here? I used to call him Tommy Iommi too. Yeah, I was sure it was Tommy Iommi. Iommi. I think there's something about the surname that Tommy Iommi. I don't know. Tony Iommi. I need to remember that. Geezer Butler, Bill Ward, Tony Iommi, Aussie. William Mackenzie, you should react to Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, or Supernaut. 2 amazing songs by Sabbath. By the way, I enjoy your videos a bunch. Thank you so much, William Mackenzie. And oh my God, we've had a donation to the channel. Who is this from? Lakeva. Thank you so much, Lakeva. After Sabbath, check out Tommy Aldridge's drumming on tracks like Hot Rod and Hot and Nasty with Black Oak. I never know how to say this. Arkansas? Arkansas. I always hear Arkansas. Is it Arkansas? I mean, that's Arkansas, right? That's no. Saw Sabbath, New Year's Eve in Phoenix. Yes. That's beautiful. And thank you very much for your donation to the channel. It all helps. Arkansas, Mojo Bag 01. Greg Mann confirming that. Now, I could be wrong. Arkansas is a place as well, isn't it? Is Arkansas and Arkansas 2 separate places? The only reason why, that probably sounds like the most stupid question ever, but there's a film called The Town That Dreaded Sundown, another horror film, and I would swear the town is Arkansas in the film, unless I'm getting it mixed up with another film. Don't know. It's a little bit like the Appice brothers, Appice brothers. I think it's Vinny. Is it Vinny Appice and then Carmine Appice, Appice or something? They're brothers and they've got the same last name and they actually pronounce their surname completely differently. I don't know whether it was a bit of a stage name kind of thing. But yeah, odd. Well, not odd. It's a bit rude. It's different, isn't it? Hans Ransdale. In case it got hidden, Tommy Iommi. No. Tony Iommi's autobiography, Iron Man, is a very cool read and sheds light on the band's inner workings. Let's keep it going. Says Marco, Bill Ward's last record was with Black Sabbath was Born Again in 1983 with Ian Gillan from Deep Purple on vocals. Okay, sounds good. Deep Purple's another group I need to get to. Alexei Martins, I always thought and love the jazzy on Black Sabbath. A lot of my friends ever got on that. Amazing. Okay. I agree, yeah. Very, very jazzy, very improv approach. It's just beautiful. Love it. It's just pure music. It's 4 dudes on a stage just playing their instruments and playing their hearts out. And I don't know. It's just real. There's no tracks going on in the background. There's no click tracks. 300 backing vocal tracks coming through the system that have been pre-recorded. It's real. It's the real thing, man. It's just a beautiful thing. Hold on. Neff, might have to clarify this. Andrew puts his pants on one leg at a time. The only difference is after that he makes gold records. What? I'm not sure where that's going. Patrick McNellis. Hey, Andrew, will see myself to the corner. Are you in the naughty corner? Matigator. You need to sit and listen to the whole Black Sabbath self-titled. There's so much on there in those long tracks. Well, I noticed that the first album is only 38 minutes long, though. You might be talking about there's not many songs on it. Let's have a look. Yeah, 38 minutes and 8 seconds. How many songs we got? I've heard a little bit of controversy about the bonus track. A lot of people are not overly impressed with I think they did a cover. There's only 7 songs on the album. It's like an EP, isn't it? We've got another donation here for the channel. Like ever again, thank you so much. The drumming on Little Dolls on Diary of a Madman was like a one-man war party. But I prefer before they remastered the album, if you could find the oldest version. This is another thing I think I have brought up on different videos. This whole idea of remastering. You don't touch stuff. I mean, it might be nice to have it as a alternative. Remastering the Star Wars movies. Really? Like the most classic trilogy of all time. Massive hit. So much nostalgia. People like me who watched it over and over and over and over as a kid, we knew every corner of that film. And then you change it? And then I think with stuff like Star Wars now, you can't actually get the original. I think you can't get the original cut of it. I think you can only get the improved version. And I'm not 100% sure on this, but I have heard from some people who know a lot more about the industry than I do, that this is starting to happen with streaming music. Artists are starting to sell the rights to their songs, and the new rights owners, in some cases, are going in and correcting classic recordings. So if you know, your physical copy of stuff is gonna, I think, end up being quite valuable, because that's the real copy. And it's like changing the Mona Lisa or changing a famous piece of art. You don't touch it. The imperfection is what makes it special. It's a photograph of a time period, of an era. You don't change it. I don't care if everything that's coming out now is hi-fi and glossy and perfect. I couldn't care less. I want to hear human beings, and if there's a mistake in an album, you know, an audible count-off, you know, some of the Bonham stuff. What song did I record? It was like an audible count-off. 1, 2, 3, 4, and like hitting stuff in the count-off. I love that stuff. I love it. Hans Reinsdale. Bill Ward was so frustrated with the drum parts for Into the Void and Under the Sun that he almost quit the band. Maybe an overreaction, but the results speak for themselves. It's good. You got to push yourself, right? George Romero. Seems like I tuned in. I don't know. Your name is in Roman numerals, and I'm not smart enough to know what year you are. Jeff Senior, SR. The only other movie I can think of with a black man as a lead, To Sir with Love. Yeah, it's dangerous territory even going there with this kind of train of thought or conversation, because you know people get so touchy about this. But I'm talking about it hopefully in a respectful manner. Obviously, we want all kinds of leads, right? Films. So yeah, it's thanks for that. I haven't seen that film. I was aware it was a black man lead. Was it To Sir with Love? Sidney Poitier, was it? I'm not sure. Oh, Richard Plant. Speaking of movies, Black Sabbath took the name from the movie of the same name. Now, I believe this is a Mario Bava film. Let's have a look. I think I've seen it. Film. 1963 horror anthology by Mario Bava. I think I have seen that film. It's got Boris Karloff on it, and yeah, great. Mario Bava, legendary horror director. Love my horrors. Love my horror films. Mark Crimmins. Bill Ward calls himself an orchestration drummer? Orchestral drummer? Orchestration drummer. What does that mean? Orchestration means basically where are you assigning the notes? In this case, on a drum kit, where are you assigning the notes? So that's orchestration. If I do a single stroke roll on a drum pad, there's no orchestration there. I haven't assigned those notes anywhere. Play them on a drum kit, play them around the kit. Now I'm orchestrating them, and I could do that in many different ways. That's still a single stroke roll. I've just orchestrated it differently. And Lakeva has just commented with, he also called himself a percussionist. So what we're talking about here is someone who is thinking about the drums in a different way. Again, more jazz or more holistically thinking of the band, not just the drums, right? So I think what he's getting at here is he's reacting to the band, he's reacting to what's happening on the stage or in the studio, as opposed to just laying down a drum part. I worked with an MD a couple of years ago who would chastise drummers by calling them, you'd sort of say, you're a drummer, not a musician. So there's a difference. There is a difference. Bill Ward approaches the drums musically. He is thinking compositionally. He's thinking in terms of orchestration around the kit. He's thinking of dynamics. This is very, very different to just going boom, ka, ba-boom, ka, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ka, da-dum, ka, da, and all you're doing is just playing your drum part, and if the bassist does something cool, or the guitarist hits a certain rhythm or note in their solo, you possibly don't even hear it. Boom, ka, this is my drum part, ka. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that approach. It's a bit of a steamroller approach. Bill Ward, no, totally different to that. That's why I think I'm finding this so interesting. He's reacting. And I've heard this in the songs. Tommy, I was going to say Tommy Iommi again. Tony Iommi will do something cool. He'll land on a rhythm, a little motif on the guitar, and Bill catches it and plays it on the kit. This is a conversation that is happening within the band. There's a dialogue happening on that stage, and this is the magic of it. This is the magic of also Led Zeppelin. They've got this ESP level sixth sense connection. It's not a talent thing. It's not necessarily a spiritual thing. It can be, but it's to me, it's just more of a practice thing. They've just played so much, and they're so good that they can react. They've got the facility. It's another word I always talk about on the channel is facility. Your vocab on the kit. If I can only play an 8th note beat and 16th note fills, if that's all I can do, how am I going to be able to react if Tony Iommi does triplets? If he does triplets and that's not part of my vocab, I haven't worked on it, I don't know what he's done, I can't react to it. I'll just stick on home base and keep it safe. These guys are not playing it safe. Bill Ward doesn't need to play it safe because he is a great drummer and he's got facility and vocab. So he does not need to play it safe. This is why Bonham's so great. In the moment, improvising, does not need to play it safe at all. I hear Bonham going for stuff at the end of songs where it's like, man, you could, you lay down a take. You want to get that take down, and one drummer might get to the end of the take and go, oh my God, don't make a mistake now. That was the perfect take. Oh, so good. These guys are great because they're, I don't care. I'm going to keep going and play some crazy stuff. Maybe even try and throw the band out, do something weird. Risk takers, really cool stuff. What else we got here? Hopefully that answered at least a little bit of your question mark, Crimmins, about orchestration. So orchestration is just placing notes. Good Lord, like Keva, you are a very generous person. I don't know where this story is going, but I'll go on there. I met a cute girl from Corsica. It sounds like a limerick. I met a cute girl from Corsica. Corsica. I met a cute girl from Corsica in Manhattan, and she said that in French there is a word for people who hear music deeply. I love that. I love that in other languages, how they have names for things that we feel. I think the German language has got a bit of that. For things that, possibly that you might have thought weird about feeling. I think one of them, oh man, I should have saved that article. It was really interesting. Have you ever stood like at a waterfall and looked over and the water's just rushing and it's just overwhelming to the senses? And it's not a feeling of you want to jump in. It's like a feeling of you're just going to jump in. I don't know how to explain it without. It's not even a dark feeling. It's just like a feeling that you're gonna go over. And there's a word for that. Anyway, I'm way off track. I use my breast and stomach for drumming all the time. Patrick McNellis. And knees. Yeah, I'm always drumming on my knees, man. Hans Rainsdale. I love that Bill plays around in between the riffs instead of just laying down beats. Like a jazzy version of Keith Moon's philosophy. Totally different, but in a way similar. I just love how with these guys, they're all different. They're just doing their thing. And they're not too worried about conforming to any status quo. They're sort of making up the rules as they go. It's really nice. Springy. Late again. But then again, I am a calendar day behind you. I'll watch the bit before this in the future. Then I'll be watching history in the future just after I take my meds. Ah, Springy. One of the original subscribers of the channel, I think. Along with, all the people like Suzanne Lash. A whole bunch of you guys out there. Very, very supportive. I don't want to start naming names because then I'll miss someone out and get told off. Matigator, I feel like that on balconies. Yeah, hopefully, I didn't make my point very well, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. A little bit of vertigo perhaps, but there is, different cultures have different words that actually capture a feeling. That might not necessarily just be in English. It's really cool. I'm really into that stuff. William McKenzie. I want to learn drums, but don't know where to start. Do you have any tips? Okay, we're getting off the Black Sabbath thing, but real quick, I actually did a course for non-drummers on the channel. It was a series of live videos. Drumming for non-drummers and drumming for people who don't even have a drum kit or drumsticks. So you could go back and you could find those videos. Yeah, you just start somewhere. You start really small and simple, and you work your way up. I'm telling you guys, if we could get this channel to a really big level, if it got to the level basically where I could quit my job, put it that way. Or just allow enough more time, I could be doing this stuff, I would love to do a live video lesson every day, and I would do it. Interviews, there's so much stuff I want to do, but yeah, I just time and running around to gigs on the weekends, teaching 6 days a week, family. But yeah, I think we're going to get there. We're not far away from 100,000K subs. 86K, crazy. So I really appreciate all of your support. I really do. It's amazing support. And the whole community, in terms of recommending songs, recommending bands. If I haven't got to your band yet, it's not that I don't want to or don't like your band. It's just a time thing. And of course, if someone is good enough to contribute to the channel, I'm gonna prioritize them. I want to look after them. And my way to say thank you, my only way I can say thank you is to do your video. So that's all that is. Matigator, probably get a drum teacher in terms of where to start. Yeah, I mean, you could find a good drum teacher, or you could start with my live video course. Just scroll back through the live videos and you'll see it. Day 1, day 2, day 3, all that kind of stuff. William McKenzie, sad how Aussie is almost incomprehensible now. And then he was incomprehensible 20 years ago. I actually quite like his singing. I've had even Black Sabbath fans commenting and saying, Ozzy's, he's a tough listen. I think he sounds actually really good. Really good. Well, he did. I don't know about now. Alexi Martins, I wish you'd listen to Iron Maiden's Nico McBrain, Where Eagles Dare. Drums are just amazing. Yep, I think a few people have requested that one, so I need to check it out. I actually had an Iron Maiden album or two. I think when I was younger, this is really going back, I think I had Power Slave. Was there one called Slave to the Grind? I don't know where I just pulled that one out from. No, that's Skid Row. I remember Power Slave because it had the ancient Egypt sort of imagery on it. Iron Maiden albums. I don't think I ever really got into it, but I did have a couple of albums. Oh, Power Slave was 1984. Which one did I have? Anyway, I'm off topic. I would know what No Prayer for the Dying was the album I had. All right, I'm gonna sign off real soon. I really do appreciate everybody's comments in the chat, and very generous. Lakeva, thank you very much for your very generous contributions. Remember, you can also comment in the comments section. So if there was something here that you wanted to make sure was down in the comments, you can put it down in the comments. Maybe it's a song from Sabbath that you think I should get to, or an album. How about we should do a listening party? I don't know how to go about that. I'm old and I'm technically out of the loop. Let's do a listening party for the first album. Whole way through. This is the best time for me to do it. It's probably the only time, really. When I do a conversion of time zones at the other time I could do it is late at night when I get home from teaching. But I don't think it works. Like most of my audience is in the States. It doesn't seem to work those times, like 7 p.m. here or 8 p.m. here. It didn't look, I think it was like 1 a.m. or something in the States. So I think we should do a listening party for that because it's going to be real fun. Why don't we do a listening party for every Black Sabbath album? Someone needs to hit me up and let me know the best way to do that. Someone who's a bit more onto it. I'm down. I would love to just sit there with a coffee and just, listen. Just listen. No stopping. We just listen through the album as the producer and the artist intended it to sound. Oh, one other thing, when I did my little bit of Black Sabbath research, by the way, I love the artwork on the original album. Very dark stuff. Quite artistic though. And then I found what that area actually looks like without the filter over it and stuff. Really cool. What was I going to find here? Ah, yes. The other thing I really like about the original album is it's got the personnel: Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, Bill Ward. 4 people. So it's not like we've got a whole bunch of session musicians or extra people coming in and chipping in on the album. It's just the 4 of them. But this is the other part I like. Production. Roger Bain, production. Oh, no, he played Jew's harp on Sleeping Village. Okay. And then Tom Allum, engineering. Barry Sheffield, engineering. Marcus Keefe, graphic design, photography. 4 people in the production team. You get a big album now and there's hundreds of people involved in it. stylist and this and that and artist and rep, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. 8 people in total involved in the creation of that first album. Very, very special. I love it. I love this kind of stuff. Yeah, hit me up. Let me know how to do a listening party. I'm old. I don't know how this stuff works. Richard Garnish, start with the first and see how it goes. There are some patchy albums. Yeah, I believe it. Of course there will be. And you'll get a bit of filler as well. I mean, I'm not blind to this stuff. You know, every band has a bit of filler where it's like, I don't know about that song. But, you know, hey, the band might like it. And sometimes, I don't know about Black Sabbath, but often bands are under pressure to deliver an album. You got to get something out. Something's going to end up on the album, and it might not always be where you want it. I think I do want to really get into and dig into, if we do a listening party, I do want to get into this original lineup. I understand that there were different singers and drummers, and you know, things changed a lot. I think at one point there was one, I think Tony Iommi might have been the only guy who was a constant throughout, who was in every iteration of Black Sabbath. I could be wrong, let me know. I think he was the only constant. But I want to check out the original lineup before anything else. There are a few more comments coming in, which I'm very grateful for, but I am going to have to let it go now. It's 10:34 a.m. in the morning here in Auckland, New Zealand. I need some breakfast. Yeah, I need to get some food in me. I need to edit tomorrow's video, which of course is a Black Sabbath one. I think you're going to like it. Yeah, there's one in there coming up that Darren Wright chose, which absolutely blew my mind. You guys are going to see which one it is. I really appreciate all the support. Remember, you hit that subscribe button, help me out, help the channel out, and it just means that we can do more content, we can do better content. So yeah, it will pay off. I really appreciate everything, and I will see you guys tomorrow with the next day in our Black Sabbath week. Remember, hit me up perhaps in the comments or get in touch with me via my email, which is in the description of all the videos, about how we can do a listening party. I'm keen for a listening party. First album, start, and then we just go on from there. And on a different date, do the second album. And maybe a week later, do the third album. I'm really into this. Yeah. Thanks again, guys. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.